So, if you're an early-stage founder, especially in a field like deep tech or AI, you already know the big catch-22, right? You need money to get any traction, but all the investors seem to want traction before they'll give you any money. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can build a pitch deck that gets attention, even when you don't have the one thing everyone asks for, revenue.
I mean, this is the whole challenge, isn't it? You might have some game-changing IP, a brilliant prototype. Maybe you've even assembled a world-class team. But you can't just point to a hockey stick growth chart or a long list of paying customers. So, what do? How do you get investors to actually lean in, listen, and take you seriously?
And this quote just nails it. When you don't have revenue to show, your pitch deck has to do all the heavy lifting. It's got to pull all the weight. This isn't about faking traction or anything like that. It's about proving that you're fundable before those numbers even exist.
Okay, so first up, let's dive into the pre-revenue pitch problem, because there are some really common mistakes that founders make right out of the gate.
It's really easy to fall into one of two traps. On one side, you're way too shallow. These big, vague headlines with no real substance behind them. On the other side, you're way too complicated, burying the entire story in a mountain of technical jargon. The real goal, the sweet spot, is finding that perfect balance, being really crisp and clear, but also rich with genuine insight. Honestly, that's the skill that separates the founders who get funded from the ones who don't.
And this brings us to what is maybe the most important mindset shift for any pre-revenue founder. You've got to understand what an early-stage investor is actually buying.
Let's just be super clear about this. They know you don't have sales figures. They know you don't have a detailed financial history. They are not looking for performance metrics that you couldn't possibly have yet. So, what are they looking for?
They're buying your judgment. This is the key. They want to see how you think. A sharp, focused, clean deck, it just screams, I know what we're building, I know why we're building it, and I know how to get it done. It shows you have the discipline and the focus to turn their capital into actual progress. At this stage, your judgment is the most valuable asset you have.
And I love this way of thinking about it. Your pitch deck is really the first product you're delivering to an investor. It has to do all the work that your revenue will do later on. It has to prove the problem is real, that your solution is credible, and that your team can actually execute.
So, how do you actually build this into your deck? Let's get practical and apply this whole judgment mindset to the 3 core narrative pillars: your problem, your solution, and your team.
Okay, so every pitch starts with a problem, but most founders get this wrong. Saying something like, healthcare is broken, is just a big, abstract market observation. A real problem is specific. It focuses on an acute moment of pain. You want the investor to feel that urgency, to think, wow, yeah, this is a real problem, and someone should have solved this ages ago. You have to show you've been close to the pain.
And then for your solution, please, don't just give them a list of features. That's a recipe for confusion. Instead, what you want to present is a strong, clear point of view. Explain why this is the right approach right now. A great solution feels, well, it feels inevitable. It's like that missing puzzle piece just clicking right into place. It's simple, not because it's underdeveloped, but because it is incredibly focused.
The exact same logic applies to your IP and your team slides. For your intellectual property, don't just flash a patent number. Tell the story of your defensibility. What advantage does this give you over the long haul? And for the team, show purpose. Don't just list their impressive bios, explain why this specific group of people is uniquely equipped to pull this off. Both of these slides are really about proving you can build a moat and actually execute on the vision.
Okay, so now that you have the core narrative pillars locked down, let's talk about the strategic role of the deck itself, because its job might not be what you think it is.
And this is so important to remember. Your deck is a door opener, period. Its only job is to be so compelling and so interesting that it earns you a second meeting. It is not the final sales pitch, it's the spark that ignites a real conversation.
And to make sure that conversation is an effective one, your plan has to be totally grounded in reality. Investors need to see exactly what their money is going to accomplish. Your ask can't just be some random number you pulled out of thin air. It has to be precisely connected to the milestones it's going to unlock.
Here's a perfect example of what that looks like. You're not just asking for money, you're showing how that capital directly translates into momentum. It's going to fund a very specific pilot program, it's going to secure your core IP, and it's going to let you bring on a key hire. See? When your ask feels this precise, your entire plan suddenly feels way more fundable.
All right, this brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of all. Before you have revenue, there is one metric that matters more than anything else, and that's clarity.
Clarity is your traction. And to get that kind of clarity, you have to be absolutely ruthless about what you leave out. Cut all the hype. Smart investors can smell exaggeration a mile away. Ditch those meaningless 5-year financial projections that you know are just guesses. And really, if a slide doesn't actively help an investor get closer to saying yes, it just doesn't belong in your deck. Precision beats hype every single time.
You know, it's worth remembering that some of the most iconic companies we all know raised money without a single dollar of revenue to their name. What they were selling wasn't traditional traction, it was absolute clarity, this deep, unshakable conviction about what they were building and why it was going to matter.
So, the question to ask yourself about your own venture is simple. Is your story clear enough to be your traction? Because at this early stage, that is what will open doors, and that is what will get you funded.